if we do not decide who we are and what we want, someone else will decide for us.
Yes.
Someone else will be the author of you. They will write your book.
Nah, get your name off my book. You not know. May I share? I had an experience like this years ago.
Several. I've watched.
Yes. They're like, T, I choose you. And I was like, okay. I remember waking up one day. I was like, what the?
If you're hyper-focused on somebody choosing you, this has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the core beliefs that you have that you're not actually good enough. And if this person chooses you, you can reaffirm to yourself that you are actually worthy and go against the grain of what you truly believe about yourself. I know it because I've done it, baby. And more often than not, if we just want someone to choose us, this has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the fact that your core beliefs are probably that limiting belief. I don't actually think I'm worthy. I'm not actually deserving of this. But if they choose me, look, I'm going to go against the grains of that. Then maybe I actually will be all those amazing things I want to believe about myself. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter if other people choose you if you don't choose yourself. If you don't show up for yourself and set boundaries and have non-negotiables and know yourself to the point where you know what it is that you want and need, you know how you show up, and you're not scared of walking away from people who cannot step up and give that to you.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun. And today, we invite you to join us in a conversation about relationships. Tarvars, before we begin, will you bring us into the Call for Truth?
Well, certainly. And we encourage you all tuning in to join us in the call for the truth. Shall we call forth the frequency of truth to come forward? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And now that we are in the frequency of truth, if you want to continue, join us in the call for the truth. Hit that subscribe button, that little bell notification. Every week, get something new. So we're talking about relationships.
Yes.
Relationships. But I know that there was a focal point here. There's this idea out here about being chosen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, wanting to be choose me. It happens actually from both male and female side.
Yeah.
We see it with humans in general in many facets, not just in romantic relationships, but this positioning of oneself where I'm going to prop myself up and look, or, masculine, whatever it is, in order to be, yes, come home with me, or yes, you get the job, or yes, you're good. So what's up with this? What inspired you to even bring this forth today?
Well, this idea of being chosen is in all of our fairy tales. The prince chooses us, it's everywhere. When we go to get a good job, we have to present so we can be chosen for the job. We know that in the history of the world that those who have been chosen reap the benefits of everything, because they have been chosen. So it's playing, it's the elevator music in the background of our lives. We want to be chosen, but it is not the position from which we should be looking. We should be looking to bring forth all of our intelligence and all of the things that we want and our own frequencies for it to choose an experience that would be exhilarating for us instead of the unknown of being chosen. So the movie stars all are discovered or chosen. In Hollywood, it's like, I was in the coffee shop and they discovered me, which is another way of saying they chose me. Mm-hmm. So there's this appetite amongst humanity, male and female, for someone to validate and give us value by acknowledging us. And then we think of that as being an exaltation in all ways. But it is not, in fact, that way. It is those who choose to focus their energy towards their own desires who have the most satisfying experiences. And we all have done that to some degree, even if you're choosing what you're going to eat for dinner instead of someone else choosing it for you.
Yeah. So
So there is that.
this is making me think about laws and principles and
Yes.
the validation or some level of confirmation, which is nothing wrong with confirmation, but the way this type of dynamic of choose me or, putting ourselves in that position, it comes off as though we don't have it within ourselves. So we need someone or something outside of us to affirm it to us in order to feel as though we are it or that.
It's very interesting because it's a double-edged sword. When we say, in essence, I don't have enough value of self to make what I want to have happen, I require someone else to value me and then give me their energy of value to make my life move forward. Then we risk whatever else comes along with that. And so the validation, we all need to be valued, but value is an internal experience, not an external experience. So we watch Miss America and she gets chosen as Miss America. We watch Miss Universe. We watch the same thing with men in sports that, they are chosen and then they are exalted. The president is chosen by the people, so we have all of this in our background. But the reality of it is that actually the case? Is it accurate and true that everyone is chosen? Is it true that the people choose Miss America? Is it true that...
Yeah, I think it's rigged.
Well, I have noticed that things that have a lot of money are already decided.
Mm-hmm.
That it's decided and the judges can't change it.
See, so then people who enter into these type of competitions, when they're not picked, and then because they've vested so much power and energy into, oh, pick me, their self-worth is diminished even more.
So it's a double-edged sword of, it is not that it is not a good thing for people to choose to exalt you. It is that if we depend upon that for our value, we lose.
Yeah, because it's not a bad thing inherently to have, because, it'd be like, hey, you
No.
look good today, or you're smart or intelligent.
Or like, I'd like to take you out for coffee, or I want to be your partner, I want to be your girlfriend, or I want to, study with you because you resonate with me. But that is this idea of building value for what you see as valuable, not the idea of choose me because intrinsically in the choosing, you give me value. There's a difference.
Yeah, I think that's the core
there. In the, if you choose me now, I'm valuable. If I sit at the bar with my legs crossed and I'm looking across the room and I see you and you choose me, now I have value. Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, something to think about. If this is hitting, drop a comment. It's hitting or it's landing.
So that's not the whole idea, but it is something that I see often amongst, especially with women who are, that I speak with. They're often know that someone who they are engaged with is not really a compatible match, but they like them at whatever level.
Mm-hmm.
And they would not have chosen them, but the person pursues them with niceties or with continual support, and then they relinquish their clarity that it was not a frequency match, and now they find themselves with the person who they knew was not a frequency match, who was in their life in a peripheral way, which was acceptable. Now they're the main focus, and it's not a match, but the person chose them and they relinquish their right to remain not chosen, or to not choose the other person. So now they're in a relationship that is unbalanced. If that makes sense.
It makes total sense. You know what else is persistent?
What?
Negative.
Yes.
It's persistent. It's being what it is. It's being what it is. But Dan, that's such an interesting example because the person, I can see what happens when we're not clear on what we want.
Yes.
When we don't have personal value, personal worth, and we're just kind of open to any and everything. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, you're here. You're the one doing it. You're showing the effort.
Right.
And that becomes very problematic because, like you said, once you get in it and you start waking up, like, wait a minute, this is not
what I would have chosen.
Yeah, but did you even know what you were going to choose? Did you even have it in your mind or broadcast it to the
So
universe?
this is very key. What you just said. If we do not decide who we are and what we want, someone else will decide for us.
Yes.
Someone else will be the author of you. They will write your book.
Nah, get your name off my book. You not know. May I share? I had an experience like this years
had
ago.
several. I've watched.
Yes. They're like, T, I choose you. And I was like, okay. I remember waking up one day. I was like, what the? It's like I realized I was in someone else's dream.
Yes, you have become the thing they wanted and have been praying for on their hands and knees, devoting themselves to it, but it was not your dream.
No, and I ran away. I was like, oh, I got to pack my bags and get out of here. The coast is clear, and I drove off into the sunset because it was, well, I was really dealing with appeasement, and there's a podcast that we have on appeasement. But within that appeasement, it kind of kept me in there.
Yeah.
But once I began to decide and figure out, okay, what do I want? And everything else became clear. I began to see the contrast in the nightmare. I woke up and...
This is what so many are dealing with. I hope that this conversation we're having will give people clarity. You can always fix it. As long as you're breathing, you can always regain your sovereignty. You can regain your authorship. You can write your own story. And it is not that those who want you in their experience are wrong. It's just that you must also make a decision so that you can then bring into your experience what you would like to have.
Oh, so this is supposed to be mutual, not just one-sided, right?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
Yes, it's supposed to be where you are not just the object of another person's dream, but that your manifestation of your own life has relevance and is important and is a part of the shared experience.
Where does that behavior come from? Where it's like mine or gimme, where it's just this one-sided. I don't have the wherewithal to consider what you like or if you even like me. I just want what I want.
Yeah, and the humanity has been cultivated this way by the overlords and the ones who have run the planet. They will just take what they want, and we are the herd. I'll take that fat, juicy one over there. I'll take the one that's the beautiful one. And they're not asking.
Yeah,
just doing. I'll take those magical powers. I'll take some of that gold. I'll take, those young ones too. This is the background story of humanity. So even if it's never spoken about, even if it never came up in conversation, even if you never read a book about it, it is the experience, the genetic and DNA experience of the two-strand human on Earth. And so we have been cultivated by essentially parasites.
Yeah.
Essentially, so we sometimes emulate the parasitic behavior of, I will just eat and devour all of the good stuff. Give me all the chocolates. You can give me all the gold. I want all of the power. And all of the dancing girls too, by the way. So that it comes from the way humanity has been cultivated. It's the background of our experience, and we are emulating that which we have seen.
Gotcha.
And when we wake up, then it gives us an opportunity to co-create and to be part of the experience of our own life instead of being a subtitle in somebody else's story. We're a footnote. Oh yeah, and by the way, but the story's all about me. And everything else is a footnote.
Yeah, there's so much that could be said about that.
There's a lot.
I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, but it's all still within the same idea. So you've shared that relationships require respect, mutual respect on both ends, and the example you just gave of off-world parasitic beings not having respect for life on the planet and just doing as they will. And we've adopted that behavior where there's no respect in a parasitic relationship.
Right.
So would you speak a little bit more about that?
I have understood in my current level of understanding that there are three basic things that are necessary for successful relationships. And the first one is respect. And I have noticed that when that exists, it remains and it is adjacent to love. So you respect a colleague or a friend or a teacher or your parent. It is the foundation of everything. So you get into an argument, you have sad times, you have happy times, the respect remains. And the respect is of such a value that it's adjacent to love. So even if you don't, so to say, fall in love, which we don't recommend, even if you may love them at varying levels. Like, I really love the way that they treat the children. I really love the way that she talks to her son. So it's love adjacent. That's respect moved to a level of where your language changes. So that is a prerequisite, and it should be a foundational step when you're looking to be in relationship with someone for whatever reason, whether it's a work relationship, whether you want to be, do you want to work for a company you have no respect for? Do you want to?
No.
Yes. Do you? I mean, you had that situation when you walked away from jobs because you didn't have respect for them, and there was no possibility of love because there was no respect. So you've had those experiences, and so have all of us. So you want all of your relationships, your prerequisite, your base bottom line to be: let me respect whatever I'm engaging with. Let me respect the clothes I wear, let me respect the company I work for, let me have respect. This is made out of cotton. I respect that. This is not a plastic bag. No offense to plastic bags.
We're not doing that over here.
Right. So the food that I put in my body, I have respect for this. This is from creation. This grew out of Mother Earth. This is something that gives value and nutrition to me. That's love adjacent. So that's one of the very pillars of a relationship. And if you don't have that, it's a do not move forward. It's not like, I'm going to make myself be in respect. It's like, as respect grows and changes, so may you. And then the next idea is to make sure that we accept the thing for what it is. So if you have a pet guinea pig, that you're good. It's not a dog. It's not gonna, it's not gonna meet you at the door with its tail wagging and, be the companion, man's best friend. It's a guinea pig.
I want to speak on this. I've heard you share with clients regarding their relationships and using the analogy of cats and dogs. Like, you are a dog person. When you really got a cat, you need yourself a dog, in terms of what they're looking for, but they're placing the dog experience on the cat, and you can't make that cat be a dog, so to say.
And the cat is unbothered if you do try.
Yeah. Human. Make sure my cat mix is ready. That's how they are.
You don't know who's the servant here.
Yeah, apparently the human. I'm just keeping it real. The human. It's not what we think. But you were saying though, this idea of people trying to make something other than someone other than what they are, lacking acceptance.
It is that, but it's more this idea of making someone is like the negative side of it. The positive side is, I accept you. I accept you, 5'7". I accept that. You got that kind of hair. I'm good with that. I see what, you want to eat this kind of food. I accept that, or I don't. So this idea of love and acceptance run together. Those are two things that, you don't love what you don't accept.
So where would the line be drawn? Because this can go a lot of different places. Because we can see where acceptance has this pole, not necessarily positive, negative per se, but I think there are things that it would make sense to be in acceptance because this is who the person is. But then we are talking about oh, that I can't accept.
Yeah.
Which
So
may look like, certain habits that might be negative, not harmonious with the other person's ideals.
So it could be as simple as you're a type A personality, you work all the time, you appreciate people who work, you're a go getter, you appreciate what that means. And you've been raised that way, you're cultivated in that way, and you have found yourself in a relationship with someone who's less interested in go getting than you, less interested in possibly making money, less interested in fame or fortune. And it rubs you the wrong way. So you're really not in acceptance with who they are.
Mm-hmm.
You're in acceptance with who you are, and they are not matching that, so it's not a frequency match. So this is the idea that just as there must be respect, there has to be some level of acceptance. Like, I can live with the fact that, you're not going to be a go-getter and I am, and then that's fine, because it doesn't have to be that everyone is the same, but it does mean that people will have to have tolerance for each other and hopefully acceptance. Like, I accept that, you a jungle boy, you nature boy, and
Yeah.
I'm a big city girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, but not everyone is on that note.
Makes
Not
a lot
everyone
of sense.
is like, well, I'll meet you in the woods then. And they're like, and I'll come to the city. It's not everybody can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is a necessary component, and there is no line except within each person. Like, I can't have a partner who lives somewhere else. Then that's your line. If you need that geography, then that's your need, and it's unacceptable for you if it's not. But if you'd be like, yeah, it's okay, I get to fly somewhere, it'll work out.
Yeah, I see that there's a balance to be had with acceptance.
Yes, there
Fine
is.
line.
But it has to exist at some level of, a person is oriented a certain way, and you like them, and you have fun with them, and you enjoy them, but you want to mold them into the model that you have in mind for them, and they may not have signed up for that. They were like, you found me like this. I thought you respected and accepted me. But it's like, well, yes and no. like, I don't really respect what you're doing, and I'm not really in agreement with it.
Yeah.
And so then the person finds themselves not being nourished appropriately emotionally, because then whatever you're thinking is not in support of who they are and what their choices were. And so now you're in this battle of whose disposition is going to rule the relationship. And will one person acquiesce and then attempt to become what the other person's image of them should be? Like, you were born, are you not doing enough for me? You were born, you came to earth, and you're not doing all the things I think you should be doing for me. That's an awkward place to be in.
Let me check my script here. What did I sign up for? What my incarnation application say? Right? Like, it doesn't have that in the agreement in terms.
Right, but that's the disposition of the person who won't accept the person, because there's room.
Yeah.
There's room for all the people who are different from you to be together somewhere. There's room. Everybody does not have to agree. I am not in favor of people saying they're in agreement with disagreeing. Like, there's a place for you all to go and be in agreement away from my disagreement.
Yeah.
There's room.
So I want to pivot, and this will be the last idea before we wrap up. What you were saying alludes to the idea of compromise and how compromise is needed within relationships. Now, I know that, and you know that sometimes when people hear this, the connotation that they have is usually negative. But we looked up definitions, and there's like 3 different definitions for compromise. And if I may read them,
Yes,
positive connotation would be settle a dispute by mutual concession. That sounds like the one we want. But I think what is prominently held in people's minds are the negative connotation: accept standards that are lower than is desirable. So, it's like, oh, if I compromise, I mean, I lost something, instead of this, like, I win, you win, we meet in the middle. Let's ride off into the sunset. What are your thoughts on this?
So the third thing is, first it's respect, then it's acceptance, and the third thing is compromise.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't know that.
So the third ingredient is that if you're alone, you don't have to compromise. That's the alone situation. You don't have to change. You don't have to give up anything. You don't have to grow into something greater, because you don't have to compromise. The word itself is co-promise. I co-promise, meaning that we are together in this. The promise indicates that it's more than you. And it also indicates that you want to affirm yourself to something. And then the co says, there's two of us. There's not one of us. So you live alone. You've lived alone your whole life. You're not accustomed to compromising with another person. This could be an expansion.
True.
Compromise, meaning that in the world that's coming, in the things that are about to happen in our world, many people will have to live together. Many people's children will have to live together. Many families that are blended will blend some more, with parents and other siblings and other parts of the family. And there must be this ability to give each other the promise of, I will be amenable, co-promise, compromise, that we can come together and promise ourselves elevation through the connection of the two of us. So that could mean something simple like, I'll wash clothes on Tuesday and you wash clothes on Friday. It could be something simple like, we'll cook one meal for all of us because it makes more sense. Instead of me having exactly the thing I looked up on the internet that I wanted, I'll have something delicious that, the compromise would be, there cannot be anything that's not delicious. And I'll eat the delicious thing that somebody else prepares because it makes more sense than doing it individually.
That's a great example.
Yeah, and it's the same way with children, that if we have children in the house and we want to feed them well, we can come together and promise to feed the children appropriately through the authority of those who are responsible. That would be the elevated way in which to do that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. I think it's a strong way to end, and we can do a call for the Truth Divination card pool.
Okay, if you will tell us what your question is for today.
Yes, I'm asking the cards to show us the truth that we must hear regarding the relationships, discussion, and all contained within it.
And the card is?
The theme, elevation. It's for the third eye chakra. The greatest defense against darkness is to fill yourself up with light so that you don't become part of the darkness. And so I can see just the basic theme of elevation. What's needed within our relationships, we must elevate. We must bring ourselves to a higher space. And it starts with self, right?
Right.
In order to even be willing to compromise, you can't be low. You got to be up here or somewhere higher to see the right within it.
I'd like to speak to that. This idea of, if you respect self, it's not hard to respect others.
Oh, yeah.
You respect self, it's not hard to jump from the respect to love of self and love of others. If you accept yourself, then you don't have to be a hater about somebody else. Like, I accept me and I accept your right to be you. Mm-hmm. And I promise myself that I will be better. So I can get with another human who is my other self, and the two of us together can promise ourselves peace and elevation. That's what it looks like to me. So we thank you for the card pull, and we welcome you all for being here. We think that it would be wonderful for you to join us again. We'd like to give you the greetings of Invocation Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. Thank you.